Well, hello everybody. Hello. Welcome. I am excited about this one. I am Dan, your friendly fishmonger from dansfish.com. Hey, Michael Wilson. Hey, Rod S. Hey, Bam Aquatics. And I am super excited about tonight because tonight I get to tell you about all the awesome fish that, not that I'm getting, but that I got. So they're here. And I couldn't be happier. It literally took a year. It took 12 months to get these fish here, but they're awesome. It was totally worth it. I'm going to tell you guys tonight about the import experience, about the fish I got, and about the last couple days going to the airport and dealing with customs and fish and wildlife and all that stuff that you usually don't hear about, I think, the back end of that. So also about managing an import to control losses and how you handle fish when they're going down in a bag, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm excited. I'm really excited for tonight. Hey, let's see who else is here. Wichita, welcome. Glad you made it. Craig. Hey, Craig. Fish Guru. Thomas, glad you're here. Ron Michael. Hey, Ringatui. Hey. So while people are coming in, just a brief recap before we get started talking about the fish that I got and the experience of getting them here in the last couple days is, for those that don't know, I've been working on getting a shipment in from Nigeria for about a year, and the reason is I'm a killifish nut. I've been a killifish geek for over 25 years. I started in junior high, and there are a lot of killifish that I've only seen in pictures. And I found a guy in Nigeria that will collect and export a lot of these fish that I've never seen in person. A lot of the lamp-eyes, and other fish like that. So this was about a year ago when I, figured that I could get this done. And so I pulled the trigger and went to do it. And it was awesome. And then ran into a bunch of issues. And it took a year, but they're here now. So that's why I'm so excited about tonight. All right. Wichita says, Dan, did you pick up some green dragons from Greg? I didn't. But I saw his green dragons, and they're pretty awesome. They're pretty spectacular. His fish room is amazing. His fish look great. That guy knows his stuff, and he's a really cool dude. So I've corresponded with Greg a lot, but I've never met him in person. And he was kind enough to invite me over and into his home and showed me around. Greg Sage, for those that might not know, runs Select Aquatics. You can find him at selectaquatics.com, I believe. It's a .com, not like a .net or something. And he mostly does live bearers, a lot of really rare stuff you usually won't see, a lot of godiads, a lot of species that he might be the only one keeping in any quantity. And some of them are extinct and endangered in the wild, some of the populations he has. So it was pretty special to go see Greg. But nope, didn't get any green dragons from Greg. Hey, Carbon Rill, glad you're here. Andy Girone, thank you for coming, Andy. I did get my first plecos, though, while I was on the trip. And I'll tell you about those later. But for now, let's get into Nigeria. So let's see where to start. There's so much. So let me just kind of take you through, I guess, the process. What happens when you're getting fish? So the first thing is there's a bunch of paperwork you have to get, and you have to file that with Fish and Wildlife a few days before the shipment comes in. And that was nerve-wracking because my contact in Nigeria didn't have all the paperwork I needed and wasn't able to get some of it, so I had to go back and forth between the Fish and Wildlife inspector and him and make sure that we could work it out, even though he didn't have some of the stuff that they needed, just because they do things differently there and stuff like that. But we got that all worked out. So the day before I left, it seemed like it was all worked out. The morning I left, I called, and the Fish and Wildlife inspector was like, yep, come on down, we're good to go. This looks like this can happen. So it's like, okay, good, because they're in the air, they're on the way, so glad to hear that. So I went down there, and it's a long drive. It's a 6-hour drive from my house in Sheridan, Wyoming to Denver. And I was scheduled to meet with Priscilla MKR, see her fish room and see her stuff, and then go to Select Aquatics Greg Sage, and then go to Mile High Plecos, go to my Airbnb and sleep, and then pick up the fish the next day. But it was snowing on my way down, and it wasn't really icy yet. The snow was too fresh for it to be super icy on the roads, but visibility was really bad. So it took an extra, I think, 2 hours to get to Denver, and so I missed my time slot with Priscilla. I got to see her stuff later. I'll tell you about that, but I missed my time slot with Priscilla. Went to Greg's, was on time for that. Went to Mile High Plecos after, and Priscilla came to that because she and Mile High are good friends. So I was able to see all Mile High stuff, which is pretty cool. And I got my first Plecos from him. I got, I think it's is it 182's, the Starry Nights, while I was there. And so that was a great fun day. The next day, I got up, went to the airport kind of immediately just to make sure I could get there and make sure everything was in order before the fish arrived. And here's what happens when you pick up an order of live animals at an airport. So mine came in Delta. So I went to Delta Air Cargo, which, these things aren't labeled well. They aren't exactly the retail business, so they aren't, out there and visible and all that. So I found them, went there, paid for the shipment just to get that out of the way, because everyone takes their fee, right? There's so many organizations and companies that have their hands in this, and they all take a fee. So went to Delta, paid their fee, went and got some food, and then kept tracking when the shipment was going to land. When I was pretty sure when it would land, I called the wildlife inspector, the fish and game inspector, who, by the way, is wonderful. She gave me her cell phone number. She helped me when I had questions. She was awesome. I really want to give her a thank you. And anyway, told her, okay, it's going to land at this time. She was off dealing with some falcons, someone breeds falcons and was shipping them, and so she timed that so she could come check in the fish. We had an approximate time when they would come in. They came in at about 1:20 p.m. Yesterday, and so they came in. She went into the secure area and did the inspection. I'm not allowed to go see that. And then she cleared the inspection, so that's good. I didn't have any, CITES species or anything like that. So then I took the paperwork she gave me. You go to customs, and then you clear another inspection. So there's these two, major government bureaucracies, staring at you, checking your stuff. And luckily, everything was in order, so they cleared me. For those that want to see some pictures of that stuff, it's on Facebook, at the Dan's Fish Facebook. I have some pictures of some of this stuff. I didn't take a lot of pictures. It was really busy, but I took some. So then you have to take that back to Delta Cargo, and then they can release the shipment once Fish and Wildlife has checked it and Customs has cleared it. Sorry, I'm really tired. You'll know why in a sec when I tell you the rest of the story. Super tired. And I've kind of run to the edge of my endurance for the last couple weeks or so I think I'm getting a little bit sick. But so sorry if I'm a little bit out of it today. Anyway, went back, got the fish, and put them in the minivan I rented because minivans are sexy. No, it's because I didn't know if I could fit all the fish in my Honda Accord, if they would fit. So I rented a van for the trip. Put them in there, and then I drove to Priscilla MKR's house. And Priscilla, is she here? She is. Hey, Priscilla. So I want to thank Priscilla so much because she said, if you need anything, I'm here. She sent me a text earlier in the day, and she's like, hey, I've got 5-gallon buckets with sea safe in them. They're all ready in case you need to do water changes on these fish or anything. I mean, she and Mile High Plecos were there for me, so I didn't feel totally alone, and it was great. So anyway, I drove right to Priscilla's after I picked them up, and we inspected them at Priscilla's house. And most of the bags were pretty good, but there were 3 or 4 where fish had started dying. The water was getting really cloudy. It was just gross, and I knew that those fish wouldn't make it home. And so Priscilla was nice enough to let me use her fish room and change the water in all the bags before I headed up for my drive back to Sheridan. So by the time the shipment got cleared and everything, it was 3:30ish. Got to Priscilla's about 4:30, I think. Started rebagging fish, and that took until, when did I finally get out of there? I don't know. It was dark and cold by the time I left. It was pretty late. Grabbed some food, and I finally started driving towards home at about 8:45 p.m. yesterday. After we'd changed the water in the bags. Now, the first 3 bags or so, we kind of did them in order of severity. So we were like, which fish are the worst off? We'll start with those and get them out of the dirty water, right? And you'd open the bags, and you could smell the ammonia in some of the bags that were the worst off. It was pretty strong. Later, it was fine in the cleaner bags. But what happens in these bags is there's a lot of fish in a bag. That's how the exporters do it, unfortunately. And if one fish in that bag dies, then it starts to decay. And so ammonia spikes from the decay, and then another fish will die from that. And pretty soon, you've got this spiral of ammonia going on in the bag. So there were a few species, I think 3, where that had started happening. So luckily, I was able to go to Priscilla's. Again, thank you so much, Priscilla. And to your family, too, for letting me crash the party. And got them out of that stuff. So it was pretty discouraging the first few bags we did, because that had been going and there were some deaths in there. But after we did the first 3 bags, and we were able to save most of them, it was still kind of gross though. I mean, when fish die in a bag, it's just gross. And then after the first 3 bags, then from then on it was pretty smooth sailing. Most of the fish after that were in pretty good shape. Changed the water anyway, just to be sure. Headed home. And of course, as soon as I got past Cheyenne, which is just right at the Wyoming border, there was a massive snowstorm. And so I was in snowstorm, and not only was there a snowstorm, it was dark, and by that time there was a thick layer of ice across the roads. And I'm in a freaking minivan, and I'm from Los Angeles. Like, I haven't been in Wyoming that long. I hate driving in these conditions. So it took forever to get home. There were times when I was going 20 miles an hour. I mean, sometimes it was super slow. Other times the snow was not as much and the roads were pretty dry and I could go a little faster. But I finally got home at 4:45 a.m. And then I unloaded the rental vehicle, dropped it off, or started floating the fish and everything, then dropped off the rental vehicle and came and released all the fish. So finally got to bed about 6:30. Well, actually, by the time I got to bed, it was more like 7 this morning, and slept a couple hours. So that was kind of the journey. A couple species of fish were shorted. They didn't send me everything I wanted. So the Paratilapia gunthri did not come in. The Neolibius ansorgii, which is the African neon tetra, did not come in. Let's see, what else? The one I'm really bummed about is the Aphyosemion or Chrome Aphyosemion bivittatums. Those didn't come in either, and that bums me out because that's a fish that I was super, super excited about. And there's one more, which I'm seriously exhausted. My brain is not working really well right now. Maybe it'll come to me, maybe it won't. There's another one that didn't come in. But what we did get is, let me go over the list with you, what we did get, and then I'll get to the chat. By the way, for those that might be new, if you have a question or a comment for me, then if you just put @DansFish and let it populate, then I'll get that. and I'll see that it's for me and I'll respond to it directly. If that's not there, then often people are just chatting among themselves, and I don't know it's for me. So if you have a question or comment directly for me, at Dan's Fish, and I'll get to it. So real quick, let me go over the list of fish that came, then I'll get to the chat a bit, and then I'll talk to you about the acclimation process, any losses I had here. Had a cool victory. I was really worried about a couple species that were doing really badly, but I'll tell you about how that got turned around, things like that. So species first. First one is Aphyosemion australe, which is an amazing killifish. Another Aphyosemion species, Calurium, those came in fine. Aplocalyctes macrothalmus, which might not be what the species actually is, but that's what they call it. Those came. The Myers eye came, Aplocalyctes or Congo panchax or Poro panchax Myers eye came in, which is great. That's a fish that I've been looking for since the 90s. I saw a picture of it in Shields Atlas. He did this amazing killifish book. And ever since then, I've been looking for that fish. So I've got them now. Although I won't really... Here's a little digression. It's hard to identify the fish because in the bag, their color's gone. Their fins aren't flared out. You know, so that's what it is on the invoice and on the packing slip is Myers eye. But I won't know for a couple days till I can really identify them, what they actually are. But they're awesome fish, and I'm excited to have them, whatever they actually are. Then I got Aplocalyctes spilachin, which is another fish I've been looking for since the 90s. I tried to get them once before, and the person sent me rice fish. And they look similar to rice fish, but not that similar. So the Epiplades came in, and they're doing great. The Epiplades, and they aren't bifasciatus. They are, in fact, grami, for sure. Well, not for sure. Nothing's for sure. Like, they could change the species on me tomorrow. But the Epiplades came in. The Nanocherax latifaciatus, those came in, and they're cool. That's a fish I'd never seen before, never heard of before. It's a cool little tetra, and it's almost like a pencil fish, like the African version of a pencil fish, kind of. So that's really cool. The ghost cats came in, or glass cats, depending on what you call them. The Pelvicochromis taeniatus came in, and the Procatopus similis came in and are doing awesome. So that's kind of the list of what we got. That's kind of a little bit about the journey. Let me get to the chat, see if there's any questions, comments, things like that. And yeah, then once I've caught up with that, then I'm going to go into these species in depth and kind of tell you how they're doing and how the acclimation went once I got them home. So, all right. Hope that sounds good to everybody. So let's see here. Oh, there aren't any questions or comments for at Dan's Fish. So that was quick. But let me see if there's stuff here that was for me but not put to me. I think there probably was. Oh, Bob Kaler didn't get a notification. Man. Yeah, the YouTubes. I don't know. Rodas didn't get his either. Man. Andy Gironi is from Wyoming? No way. If you are, where are you from, man? Or I assume that's the spelling of the male form of Andy, or lady. I could be wrong. But where are you from, Andy? Corey's live stream and Candy's modding there. All right. Well, it was bound to happen sooner or later. Bob, you just got a wrench, dude. Hope that's okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Corey is... Yeah, I saw that he's doing that, and I thought about maybe changing my stream. Little side note here. Changing my stream to another time or something like that, but I've been doing it this way for a long time now this time, so I'm worried that if I change it, it'll be a problem. And also, there's always replays. Like, I watched Corey's live stream till I had to go live, and I'll just go catch the rest later on a replay. That's fine, right? That's fine. But the thing I've noticed about Corey, I've been following him since he was a wee one. before he blew up. And the thing I've noticed is that he's really busy and stuff happens constantly in his life and his business and stuff, and so he has to adjust frequently. So right now he might overlap a bit, but I have a feeling that in a couple months or so something will happen and he'll have to adjust his time or something. So I'm just gonna stay put, and if people can't catch it live stream's fine. Yeah, but that's right. So Candy's over there. All right. Cool, Bam, sub to you, Wichita. That's awesome. So, Bam, I've got fish from Wichita in the past and did a good job shipping and stuff, so I think Wichita is a great person to follow. Oh, Starlights. That's the plecos I got. Starlights. What did I say? Star Spot or something? Priscilla says, I'm here. No, Michael and I are not friends. Well, I saw evidence to the contrary, but yeah. Oh, he got there too late for that, Priscilla. Yeah, he just missed the snarkiness. Oh, well. Oh, well. By the way, my favorite part of Priscilla MK Art's fish room, and she's got some really cool fish. Her Fahaka puffer is amazing. But my favorite part is, I think you probably did it, Priscilla, but this poster of LR Bretts is like the mad fish scientist. That thing, that was made me laugh so much. That was great. Priscilla says, pour down is quite the haul. Yeah, it was. It was. Still, it's still fun for me, though. I mean, I did fear for my life sometimes driving home through an icy snowstorm in the dark last night, and it took forever, and I'm really tired. But man, what else would I be doing? Like of all the jobs I can think of that I could be doing, being able to bring in a fish that I've been looking for since the 90s and finally get it. Like if I have to drive through a snowstorm for 9 hours or whatever it was to do that, that's fine. Like that's fine. Mile High didn't want to show your thumbs up. Oh, you flipped off Priscilla? Okay. So I'm not going to show that just because there might be kids here. But I'm laughing with you. Yeah. I mean, outside of this, you know, we can be as crude as we want or whatever, but I do want this to be a place where anyone of any age pretty much could come and their parents could feel comfortable letting them be here learning about fish. I started as a young dude, and it would have been horrible for me if I found something like this and then my parents were like, ooh, you can't watch that. So, Fish Guru is, I don't understand that. Okay, something about Crobia Zenensis? What is Crobia? So Thomas does this to me like every live stream. He posts a question or comment about a fish that I just have never heard of before, at least not the scientific name, and so I have to look at it. So this is what it is. Check this out. This is the fish that Thomas was talking about, at least according to a quick Google search. So cool. Right on. So I probably know that fish is something else. Is that the blue eye? I'd have to look at it a little more, but that scientific name did not ring a bell. All right. So, okay, I see some. Oh, Bob says she didn't feed you. So Priscilla offered to feed me, actually. Priscilla was amazing. In Mile High Plecos, we had a ton of fun at Miles' place too, but Priscilla was like I didn't need to fear for anything. She had my back. Like, she offered food, she offered all that stuff. But she's a great host and now a great friend in person. So thank you again. But she offered, but I was so intent on like getting done and getting on the road as quick as possible that I had to get. I couldn't take her up on it. But no, Priscilla's like the ultimate host. She's amazing. All right. So here we go. Bam Aquatic says, Dan, when will we get to see them? So the fish, I'm working on a video now. I made an unboxing video. I was too exhausted to narrate it, so I just took footage of all the unboxing, showed the fish, all that stuff. and I'll need to go back and narrate it later. Also, yesterday and, well, today really is this morning. Today's been all about the fish. It's been about making sure they're taken care of, and I'll go into that in a little detail here in a sec. Getting them, keeping a close eye on them and all that. So I haven't had time to edit that, but tomorrow, I hope to, I haven't even cleared this, look at this big old stack of boxes here. I haven't even cleared that out yet. All the bags that that the fish were in are all empty and scattered around the fish room. I mean, it's a race against time when you're trying to do this. There's no time to rest. You got to get them out as quick as you can, take care of them. Time's of the essence the first couple days. But I think tomorrow I'll be able to take a video of them in the tanks. So then as I show the unboxing, I can show them in the tanks so that you can actually see them, because they're hard to see in the box and in the bag. So I'm doing that tomorrow. And I think that by the end of the day tomorrow, I'll have all the footage I need to make the video, and then it's probably another day or so to edit it and get it all together. So I think by the end of the week, BAM Aquatics, that I'll have the video out, and then a little while later I'll do another one when they've colored up, because when I do the video tomorrow, they're still getting used to stuff. They haven't fired up. They're still not, they haven't claimed their territories and their habitat yet and all that stuff. So you'll get to see them, and then I'll do a follow-up when they're finally colored up and acting normal and comfortable, and we'll be able to see their colors. So that's the plan, BAM. Mile High didn't get the notification. Well, that ain't no good. Well, Wednesday, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, unless I've announced that I won't be here because Halloween or, whatever. It's always when it's going to be. But I set the notification. So I am sorry. Craig Hawks at Dan's Fish. Were the bags labeled? Oh, let's get into this. I imported once and nothing was labeled. No, the bags were not labeled. Luckily, the way I have this done, I put a bag in a separate tank, so I'm not worried about mixing the wrong species and then getting hybrids or something. But no, they're not labeled at all. So it's actually a little hard to tell right now which ones are the Aphyosemion australe and which ones are the Aphyosemion, is it Calliurum, I guess is how you would say it. I always say it Callurum, I would just slur it, but Calliurum. Because they aren't colored up, their fins aren't spread out and stuff, and so it's a little difficult to tell. But I know one tank for sure is Australe. The other two, I'm like, which one is which? They're hiding, all that. But no, they're not labeled at all. So that being said, the packing slip is. So it tells me these fish are in this box, and there's 2 bags per box. When you see the unboxing, you'll see how big these bags are. They're 3 feet long and big, only 2 fit in a box, and they're big boxes. So, but they aren't labeled, so it's a bit of a, I know the fish well enough to know pretty much what they are, but those 2 Aphyosemion species, until they come out and have relaxed a bit, there's 2 tanks where I'm like, is that Calliurum? Not quite sure. So, but no, it's that's a problem with importing for sure. Yep. And that's part of why fish are so mislabeled. Not only that, but the names that they are sending them to me for Aplocalyctes, a lot of these haven't been Aplocalyctes for, over a decade. They've been renamed and recategorized and all that scientifically, but the exporters and stuff don't keep up on that. They just, they learned them as one way, and that's just how it is. So it's a little confusing sometimes. Wichita Falls. Did the Aphyosemion striatum ever breed for you, or were they past their prime? Nope. I tried, and I'm trying again right now. I just don't think I'm going to get any eggs out of them. I have noticed the male spines start to kind of crook a little bit, so I just think maybe they were too old. So usually, so I put them together when I first got them, because often when you do that, you'll get eggs, just because of they've been through a little stress and they go to a fresh environment, and that simulates we got to spawn, right? That stimulates the spawning. They didn't spawn then. And so I've tried ever since I got them many times. Never got any eggs. And I bred that species a lot in the past, so I know it's fairly simple to spawn. So I just think he's too old. And I think it's the male. She's looks like she's full of eggs, but the male doesn't do anything with her. So I don't know. Yeah. Devin Peppers, I'm doing a presentation in my school on aquatic plants. Any advice on how to simplify the aquarium for people and make them more interested? Yeah, my aquariums are super simple. Let's see. I think the main thing... See, it's a fine line because you don't want to turn someone off by talking about something besides fish, because what they're excited about is the fish. But what has to be gotten across is that, yeah, you're keeping fish, but what you're really keeping is water. That's the important thing, right? You're keeping an environment. And so I think if you can figure out what the easiest way is for them to keep the water clean in whatever application they're trying to do. Are they doing a planted tank, bare bottom tank, with a sponge filter? There's all these different applications, ways we can do aquariums. It's like, what do they want? Do they want like a pretty display tank? Well, probably that's what most people want. So then it's just breaking that down. How do you make that as simple as possible? And there's a couple things. Like the tank behind me is pretty simple. Once a week I scrub down the algae across the front. Every now and then I pull out excess plants or trim some plants down, like every now and then. But besides that, I don't do anything. I don't gravel vac or sand vac. It's got sand in it or anything like that. So it's kind of just helping them, based on what they want to do, making it as simple as possible. The simplest tank in my mind is bare bottom sponge filter. I mean, that's about as easy as it gets. But I think it's letting them understand, here's what the fish are living in. Here's how we have to keep that clean, and then helping them with the easiest way to do that. So there's many ways to answer that based on the application. So I'm probably not being super helpful, Devin, but if they can understand that fish create waste, and that waste has to be processed and removed somehow. If they get that concept, I think from there everything else can fall into place. So yeah, that's the hurdle. And we start saying nitrate and nitrite and ammonia, and well, first of all, nitrate and nitrite sound very similar, so it's like that's confusing and all that. But I think that's the concept. Waste is constantly generated in these environments. How do we deal with that? And what's the easiest way that we can do that within the application they're trying to set up? So that's what I would focus on when I talk to someone. TM, right back at you. Michael Wilson. The Crobia is a big Acara from Rio Zingu drainage. Cool. I mean, it's a pretty looking fish. Yeah, my cichlids I'm not the strongest on, especially when it comes from the New World. Fish Guru says, and are impossible to find in the U.S. So, all right. Rio Zingu. Oh, that's tough because Brazil. Yeah, Brazil's hard to export from. Maybe Germany or the Czech Republic. Those are sometimes places we can get fish from that we can't get out of Brazil because they're breeding them there. But yeah, good luck if you do the import. So here's what I would suggest. If there's a species like the Crobia or something that you're like, man, I've got to import that. I can't get it any other way. I want this fish. There's a couple ways. If you can find a source overseas for them, there's an actual import, which is what I did. So I dealt with Fish and Wildlife. I dealt with customs. I have the import license. I file the paperwork. It's my butt on the line if something goes wrong, right? There's that, and that's something that you could do. But the easier thing to do is find a transshipper to help you. So if you Google transshipper, or if you go to the foreign betta sellers on Aquabid and click on one of their bettas, they'll have a list of transshippers there. There's more than what they have listed, but that'll give you a starting point. Then the transshipper can take care of all that stuff. And that way you don't have to bring in thousands of fish like you do in an import. You can bring in your fish as part of the thousands of fish the transshipper is bringing in, and they'll bag your fish up for you and send it to you. So I would suggest anyone that wants to get their feet wet in this or start figuring this out, start with using a transshipper, because they'll do all the legal stuff for you. They'll deal with customs, fish and game. They have the license. You pay them a fee. They basically act as an agent. You pay them a fee, they take care of all that and send you the fish. So that might be a way, Thomas, or Fish Guru Aquatics, to get some fish into the states that aren't here without you having to go through all the stuff of importing. Yeah. And here's the main hurdle with importing. Anyone can do it. It's some paperwork and some fees and figuring out logistics, but you deal with Fish and Wildlife and Customs, and you call and you email and you figure out what to do, or you have a friend that's done it, or you work at a facility that does it, and you learn. It's mainly the volume. No exporter from a foreign nation is going to send you one box of fish. They're going to send you many thousands of fish at a time. You're just not going to be able to convince an exporter to do it any other way. Now, there are some times when you can buy stuff from someone overseas and they'll ship it to you and they'll kind of smuggle it in, but that's probably not recommended, because for obvious reasons, there's legal reasons for that. But the basic thing is the volume. You have to buy so many fish at once for the exporter to even look at you. That's the hurdle for most people, I think. Having the facility and the capability to deal with that many fish at once. Let's see here. Oh, Devin Peppers. Let me make sure, Devin, before I get this, that I didn't skip anyone. Oh, I did. Hang on, I'll get to that in a sec, Devin. My chat skipped on me. Sorry again, guys. My voice is a little rough. I'm exhausted. I need to rest up or I'm going to get seriously ill. And I'm probably mixing my words up even more than usual and misreading stuff even more than usual. Potato says, I'm a little jealous of that box stack. Yeah? Oh, let me show you... Well, I'll show this in the unboxing. It was a little scary because the insulation this exporter used, this is my first time using this person, the insulation, the styrofoam, it's only like maybe half an inch thick. And it was cold yesterday. It was 20 degrees when I got home yesterday. And so I was super nervous because in the inspection facility and all that, they're just in a big unheated warehouse. And so these boxes, man, I was nervous as soon as I saw that. Usually when I get fish exported or imported, they're coming these styrofoam lined boxes, and the styrofoam's a couple inches thick. There's heat packs, all that. Not the case this time. So that was nerve-wracking. Priscilla says, "How are the lamp eyes? I might need some of those whenever they're available. The nano fish." Yeah, Myers eye is the species probably that I got. I'll know in a little while when they color up and I can really see them and observe them. I'm trying not to bother them too much right now. So let me go over the list of the fish and how each species kind of did in the management journey on this side, and then I'll get back to chat. So those did great. Of the 400 of them that I got, lost a couple. Like, they're doing awesome. Now, I'm a little nervous because they're a small fish. They have a fairly high metabolism, and it's obvious that where they were being held, they didn't get a lot of food. So I need to fatten them up, and I'll do that. I started that today. I gave them their first tentative meal today. They did eat. Those are doing well. By the way, none of these fish are going to be available for at least 2 weeks and often at least a month. I don't sell fish, not just till they come out of quarantine, but I don't sell fish until they're eating normal aquarium food, they're out and about, they're acting comfortable, they've adjusted fully to life in my aquariums. When I send you a fish, I want that fish to be not just healthy, but be comfortable in an aquarium, come out so you can see it within a few days of it settling in at your place. I don't want it to come and have this massive adjustment to life in an aquarium. So it'll be a little while, a couple weeks to maybe a month before I start selling. But those did great. The Aphyosemion australis, so 2 species were worrying me a ton. Aphyosemion australi and the Aphyosemion caliurum, because very little losses. Like they're tough fish, but when I put them in the tanks, their fins were all clamped up, and with killifish, when their fins clamp, it's a horrible sign. And after I slept a little bit, I got up this morning and their fins were still clamped, and I was super worried about it. Later this afternoon, though, several of them started to unclamp their fins. So I think they're going to be okay, or at least the vast majority of them are going to be okay. Bob Kaler, I skip for super chats usually. Bob Kaler, send me a super chat, $19.99. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it very, very much. Can we see the fish? Yes. I don't have any way of showing them to you right now during the live stream, but I'm going to make a video shortly and show them to you. But I'm in a desktop computer, and so I don't know how to get the camera around the room because it's attached to my desktop. So not this instant, but I'll get that footage tomorrow. Hopefully finish editing it and cutting it the next day and get it up. So it'll be up fairly soon. Sorry I can't do it right now. I want to do a walkabout and show you, but I can't detach this camera and get it around because it's part of my desktop system. So anyway, later this afternoon they started to relax. They started to unclamp. I put a few fruit flies in there right before the live stream. I'll check after we're done here and see if they started eating or not. But probably not. I only put a few in just to test. But yeah, I'm really relieved. Often when killifish clamp their fins up, that's it. That's it. And I'll tell you about my medication regime here in a second when I'm done going over the list. So those 2 made me really nervous, but then they did fine. What was sold to me is Aplocalyctes macrothalmus. I'm not quite sure what it is yet. It's starting to color up a little bit, but those were one that was doing poorly in the bag. Thank goodness I could change them at Priscilla's. So we lost a few, but the vast majority, there's still, how many? Let's see here. I got 200 of them. There's still 180 of them in there that are doing really good. A couple of them are struggling, and I hope they'll make it. But those are doing well. The Aplocalyctes spolachin is doing great. Only lost a couple of them out of 150 of those. The Epiplades are doing great. I don't know if we lost any of those. Nanocherax, the little, what are they? Like a pencil fish, kind of. They're a little kerosene, a little tetra type thing. Maybe lost 2. They're doing fantastic, and they ate like pigs today, so they're awesome. The ghost cats or glass cats, those are tough. They're a really sensitive fish, and they were one that was going down in the bag. So we lost quite a few yesterday before we changed the water. But most of the other ones made it here. There were a few down in the tank, but I still have a good group of those. So we'll see in a few days if the ones that made it, are here for the long haul. That's a really sensitive species. I knew that when I got them, but my hope was getting them directly from the exporter and them not going through a transshipper and then a wholesaler and then to me, that I'd have better luck than when I've got them or seen them in the past. And so far, I think we're doing okay. That was one, though, where you open the bag and it was like this cloudy mess and really stinky, and it was really discouraging. But we do still have a good group of those. Time will tell how they do. And they're acting normal. They're schooling around, they're swimming around. The ones that are there now acting normal. And so I don't think they've eaten yet. When I feed the first day or two, it's just a tiny little bit just to see if they're having a feeding reaction to gauge health. I'm not usually trying to put weight on them yet because I don't want them to not eat it and then get an ammonia spike. The pelvic chromis was another one that was really discouraging. The bag was really stinky and cloudy and stuff. And a few of them were deceased when I got to Priscilla's. And it looked like a lot worse than it was because they're a larger fish, and when a couple of those go down, it looks a lot worse than it is. But I think I lost 2 more since I got home. But the rest, with the exception of one that's struggling, the rest I think are going to do great. So I don't know exactly how many I have, but the vast majority of them are doing fine. And then the Procatopus similis, out of 250 of those, I don't think I lost any. Or if I did, maybe one. But those are doing awesome. So most of them are doing great. So what I did is I get them home. I was like sweating in the van on the way home because I was keeping it super warm in the van so the fish that were in the back of the van would be fine. So it wasn't very comfortable for me, but it was good for them. Got them all in here, checked the temperature. Most of them were in the low to mid 70s, which is where I keep my tanks. So I basically took the fish, put them in the tank they were going to be in, but I didn't worry about soaking them in there long to tempt them because they were already really close. So as soon as all the fish were in the tank they were going to go in, I poured them through a net, put them right into the tank, and then I only treated with 2 things. One is salt, and I put a cup of salt in a 75-gallon aquarium. It's like a lumpy chorus, like rock salt, not like a fine salt that's all compact. And that really helps them with their osmotic regulation, and so they aren't struggling to keep their body salty, basically, while they're trying to fight off a disease or just, recover from the stress of shipping and all that. So salt is great. And then the other thing is triple sulfa, and which is an antibiotic. I don't tend to use erythromycin unless there's a specific thing. And the reason is erythromycin treats gram-positive bacteria, but the vast majority of bacteria in an aquarium that are really detrimental to fish are gram-negative. And triple sulfa will treat gram-negative and some gram-positive. So I use that. Now here's the downside to that medicine. And the reason why it might not be as good for most people in most circumstances. The downside of that medicine is if you use it, you can't treat with anything else except for malachite green. Malachite green goes well with it, actually makes it more effective, makes it safer for the fish. But you can't put in like Icex, you can't put in Prazi or Metro, General Cure, or any of those things. Copper, nothing like that. So I think that, the trio that a lot of people use is fine in a lot of applications. But I'm worried about fish that have been through a lot of stress, that have been, might have missing scales or tears in their fins or anything like that, just a big shipment. And so I'm really worried about gram-negative bacteria getting in there and creating an infection. And so I treat with triple sulfa. I'll do that for a few days, and once the fish kind of relax and their stress level's gone down, then I'll do water change, and then I'll treat with the general cure to get rid of the parasites. So erythromycin I'll use in certain cases. Let me show you guys this real quick. This is a great resource. It's an old website. It's not, very inviting, but the information on here is awesome. And it goes through each antibiotic or anti-parasite medicine, each medication, and really shows you the breakdown of what these are. So for example, if you click here, then you can look and it gives you the rundown. This is triple sulfa, and it'll tell you all about that drug. It'll tell you how to use it. It'll tell you if it's gram negative, gram positive antibiotic, all these things. It'll tell you what things you shouldn't put with it because there'll be a conflict of medicine. And there's this big list. So this is AmericanAquariumProducts.com. Again, not a pretty website. Obviously, it was built a while ago, but the information on there is super good. So if you're ever having to treat something and you're wondering, is this the medicine I should use? Will this react badly with this other medicine and hurt my fish? This is a great website. The guy that built that really knows his stuff, worked in the industry and things like that, and studied this stuff in depth. So I don't think any of those claims are false. I haven't read his credentials for a while, but I remember when I read them, I was like, oh, okay, I can trust that this is a source that isn't just anecdotal repeating stuff. This is someone who's done research and knows more, what they're talking about. So so that's what I do. Salt, triple sulfa, let them get unstressed. At that point, I'm not as worried about antibiotic infection, so I switched to anti-parasite stuff. So the good news is that wild fish are actually a lot cleaner than farmed fish. Now that sounds counterintuitive, right? But it's true. On a fish farm, you have tons of species going through all the time and all that, and you have concentrated fish in small habitats, and disease tends to be more prevalent, and there tends to be more kinds of them because different fish that would never meet in the wild are getting, either they're meeting or water's being exchanged or whatever. They're introducing their pathogens to each other. So you get this smorgasbord of pathogens that you don't get from wild fish. So wild fish, it's less about disease, that they're coming in with something, and more about managing stress and preventing an infection from taking place. So anyway, that's kind of the regime. Let me get back to the questions and stuff. To the chat here. So I'm jumping to the @DansFish comments and questions. If you have a question or comment for me, @DansFish, let it populate. I'll see that it's highlighted and get right to it. And I'm going to do that now. I'm done gabbing for a little bit. So Priscilla, to answer your question, 2 to 4 weeks is when they'll be available. And just when they're available, I'll let you know. And let me know how many you want, and I'll send you some. Rod S. Dansfish, what are your quarantine procedures? Just went over that. Yeah, and the other thing is clean water. I change, now that there's more fish in the tanks, about 30% of the water a day. And I don't do that like right now because they're soaking in antibiotics. But in general, that really helps too. Between different treatments, so between the antibiotic and the anti-parasite meds, I'll do a water change. And so I'll do general cure for, I'll do it, I'll wait 48 hours, I'll do it again, and then I'll change water. So when they're not being medicated, 30% a day, just keeping it clean really helps. And salt's awesome. Bam Aquatics, yeah, I'm for sure going to want to spread my fins a little further with some killies. Well, cool. Spread my fins. I like it. Who needs wings when you can have fins? All right. Here's another one. Meat Man. Hey! The former pork slinger. But they're both good. At Dan's Fish. Just picked up a pair of Bolivian rams. Cool. Not sure if breeding. Guy I got them from said they were. Any tips on breeding? Keep them in quarantine tank or will they breed in a community tank? So, Bolivian rams are not a difficult species to breed. That being said, I've never done it like in my fish room firsthand. So this is all anecdotal. So if anyone here has bred them and can give Meat Man, the straight poop, do that. So meet me, I know that what I'm saying is anecdotal. Observing other people who have bred them and talking with them and seeing them in their fish rooms and things like that breeding, or in stores and things I've worked at, just having them breed in the tank, but not necessarily raising the babies. So in my opinion, they're fairly easy fish. I mean, they bred in stores and stuff I've been at. It's I don't think there's any big tricks to it or anything. It's just keep them healthy, keep the water clean, and keep them well fed, and you'll have babies, I'm pretty sure. Community tank or not, it just depends on if you want to keep the babies and raise them. It sounds like you do, because you got what is hopefully a breeding pair. So I would do it in a separate tank. In a community tank, the babies will last a little while, but usually the parents won't be able to successfully defend them and get them to enough food in a community tank. So you might have a couple survive, but usually you don't. Like, tetras are awesome fish, but when they see a group of babies and they go at them in mass, like, it's just a bloodbath. So I breed them in their own tank. In that way, you can make sure that the babies aren't being outcompeted by the other fish in the tank, so you can keep food in front of them a lot, and you know they're not going to get eaten. Well, unless the parents turn on them, I guess. So that's my thoughts, meat man. But if you keep the tank clean, keep them well fed, I think they'll go for you. And they don't need super high temperatures either. To breed these guys, you could probably do it in the upper 70s. You could probably do it in the mid 70s. But if you really want to trigger it, what I would do is get them through quarantine, get them well fed and conditioned. And if they haven't bred for you, try spiking the heat like 4 degrees. If that doesn't work, then try a large water change and lowering it like 4 degrees and just see if one of those triggers them. But you probably won't have to do that. They'll probably just go for it naturally. But keep us posted. Hope they do well. Now again, anyone that's actually bred them and raised them on purpose in their fish room or in their aquarium at home, chime in and tell me, man, if I said anything wrong or what your experience has been. Otter Creek Aquatics, I found my panda cory eggs. Boom! I use your technique and they have hatched out 5 so far. Cool. Got another group of eggs going too. Awesome. I'm glad that's working for you. And I don't know how many, like, was it 5 out of 300? That's not so good. But if it was 5 out of, 6, then awesome. I don't know. But glad that the technique got you some results. It's always worked well for me. Candy, welcome. Glad you made it. 54 Punchy. Hey, my mods are here. So Corey must be done. All right. Glad you guys made it over. Devin Peppers, I was trying to explain that waste part. So Devin is going to classrooms and talking about aquariums and things and was asking, how do you make aquarium keeping like as simple for someone as possible? So this is kind of a follow-up to a discussion we had earlier on that. I was trying to explain the waste part by using plants as my topic, making fish like an extra part because I have a teacher who I think would like a fish tank but is nervous about the work it will take. Yeah, for sure. And there's certain plants that are better at removing waste than others. One reason I can keep a ton of fish in one tank is because of water sprite. You don't have to plant it. You can if you want. You can just let it float. I can't kill the stuff. If it has a decent light on it, and I don't mean like an expensive light. I have like a $40 shop light on it, but it's a 2-tube LED. If it gets adequate light, it'll grow very fast. And since it's growing so fast, it's sucking up so much waste that it just helps an aquarium be more stable. It makes it a little more forgiving if you feed a little too much, or if a fish dies and you don't notice and it rots in there and ammonia is produced. Those plants are sucking that stuff out. So I think plants make aquarium keeping even easier in a lot of applications. It's just choose ones that are easy and grow fast. They'll be the best water polishers out there. But yeah, so a teacher in a classroom, simple tank. Well, they're going to want it to be clean looking, right? So you probably want some kind of filter in there that can polish water. Maybe a little canister that hangs on it or a hang on back or something, but something that can actually polish, some mechanical filtration. And then biological could be anything. But I think if those two things are met, it could be as simple as a sponge filter and a box filter. But again, in the classroom, she's going to want it to be, pretty, I would imagine, for her kids and for the parents that come in for parent-teacher day and all that. So I think some kind of power filter of some type to polish, and then a sponge or a matten filter, even an under gravel filter, although you get all the mulm and gunk in there. That's not as easy. Would be good. Yeah. There's so many ways it could go. It's kind of like, what does she like? As long as there's some mechanical for filtering the particles and some biological, yeah. Well, let us know if she goes for it. Also, the fish that she starts with, she might be like, man, I love that discus, it's gorgeous. But like, start her on zebra danios, start her on white clouds, something that's super hardy, so that there's the most probability of success, so they don't get, a disaster and get discouraged and quit, which is never fun. 40 in the chat. Cool. 39 now. Ooh, I must have said something wrong. Of Deloriac Peterson. Can Crebensis and Jules live together? No. That being said, I know you can do almost anything if you have like a big enough tank or all that. But Jules cichlids are nasty mean. Like, a 1-inch Jules cichlid will keep a 4-inch African cichlid up in the corner with torn fins, beat up. They are, once they have claimed a territory, once a jewel cichlid settles in and feels comfortable and happy, it doesn't want anything else around it. So I would say no. Now, someone else out there is going to be like, hey, I do it all the time. Great, I'd love to hear that. Like, let us know if that's true. But in my experience with jewel cichlids is they are mean little suckers. That being said, they're gorgeous. If you haven't done it yet, you should of course get a pair of jewel cichlids, see them spawn, see them brighten, and just be gorgeous. But you probably can't keep anything else in the tank with them. So I think that answers that. Cool. Oh, so Otter Creek says it was 5 out of 8. That's not bad. They aren't throwing very many eggs. Not sure why. Well, they could be young, or a lot of eggs could be getting eaten somehow. So there's lots of things that could be happening. But 5 out of 8 for trying a new method for the first time, that's not too shabby, man. Glad that worked out for you. Of Deloriac Peterson, thank you for the answer. You're welcome. There is some nuance there, of course. If you have a massive tank and a ton of line of sight blocks and things like that, you could maybe do that. But your cribs are going to get destroyed, I think, if you do that. Bracken says, let's just say I've had jewels with Malawi twice their size, and they are bosses. They are aggressive, yep, and would say they are between a baboona and a peacock. Yeah, they are extremely aggressive fish. Yep. And it's got, you have to take each fish for what it is and love it for what it is and appreciate it for what it is, and make the setup and the environment conducive to that. So know that, set up an environment for them, and it'll be fine. But it is a bit of a shame that, like, I couldn't put a few pairs in this tank behind me, because they're so pretty. They're so gorgeous that it'd be nice to have them in a community aquarium. And I'm sure someone's done it and had success, but you're probably going to have a bloodbath. Yeah. Just again, for those that are coming in and maybe don't know this, if you have a question or a comment for me that you want me to respond to, make it at Dan's Fish, let it populate. I'll see it and respond. Or if that's not working, and if I've missed a question or comment, post it again. If it doesn't populate, maybe one of the mods will let me know and I'll get to it. But I try to avoid like reading all the chat, just because then there'll be 30 seconds of dead air while I'm looking at the chat, looking for a comment or question to respond to, and then I find one to respond to it. But I don't want that dead air. I don't want a boring experience here. So to keep it lively for everyone, make it at Dan's Fish. We'll get right to it. 3 mods in here. Man, that's never happened before. It's Mod Town here. Cool. Thanks, mods, by the way, for being willing to help out with that. Appreciate it very, very much. Oh, and I do want to say, for those that follow the Get Gills Facebook page or Dan's Fish Facebook page or any of the places I'm at, I apologize that I haven't been super active. I've just been very busy with this import, and for a couple days I'm going to be super busy. So like, I missed my Friday update at Get Gills, where I try to update everyone on the progress with the website, getgills.com, what we're working on, what we've got done, the new features we've built, all that stuff. I missed that just because I was doing all the prep for, this trip and making sure the paperwork was in order, and it was my last day to like get in touch with customs and Fish and Game and all that, pretty much before I had to go down. So sorry if I'm not as responsive as normal, or if it takes me a little longer to get to your emails, but I will get back to you as I can. It just might take me 2 days instead of 1 or something like that. So I'm not ignoring you. I'm just, the fish come first. They just always do. I mean, it has to be that way, right? Justin Brewer, are you going to do an unboxing of the new shipment? Yeah, I did. I recorded it. I want to get some footage tomorrow of them now that they're in the tanks, and then I'll put that video together. So I think in 2 days or so, by the end of the week, I think that video will be out. So yes, of course I did. It might be I was tired though. Not just like, oh man, it'd be nice to sleep. I was like physically like exhausted, tired, like brain not functioning right, tired. So it might be a funky video, some of it, but yeah, I got some footage. So Dan's Fish, your website is now Get Gills. So I had dansfish.com on its own independent Shopify platform store. So it was its own store. Here's what I noticed though, that it's hard for one person with a fairly small store to have enough items in inventory at one time to get a lot of traffic there. You'll get some traffic, but you have to have like a critical mass of inventory in order to get regular high traffic, right? And so I think we're stronger together. So what we did is we built getgills.com, and I moved my store there. So I still have my store, Dan's Fish, but it's on getgills.com. So let me just show you real quick. This won't take long, but let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is getgills.com. If you go to stores, here's all the people that have put a store on there and have items for sale. I'm right here. So if you want to see my store, you click on that. Here's my stuff, what I am currently selling. Yeah. And then if you want to know about my policies and my shipping and all that, you click here, and then you can learn all about me. My big old policy thing, which is the way it is just because I've been doing this a while, and I think I finally got one that kind of works for everybody. And then the ratings, the feedback from people that have bought from you, things like that. So that's what I did. So I still have my store. It's just not by itself off in a corner somewhere. Now it's at getgills.com. It's surrounded by other stores. All our inventory's out there together, and so we can get more interest and more traffic there together. So, yep. So Bracken has still got a store. It's just a little different than it was. And I think that's good for I think it's good for everyone. It is kind of hard when you're doing a Shopify store and you're paying their monthly fee and all that. And, a fish room this size, I can maybe have 40 fish for sale at a time, 40 different kinds of fish at a time. And that's maybe a lot for a guy that does what I do, but it's not enough to get a lot of people regularly visiting the store. With Get Gills, there's new items being posted all the time. And so it kind of keeps the interest going. So, yeah. All right, so Bracken, well, very smart. It's like a collective group so people can find more things while never having to switch pages. Yeah. And the other thing, let me show you this, Bracken, so you can go to the stores and look that way. Like if you like, Bob's store, you can go there and see what he's got. If you just go to Get Gills, this is the landing page. Then these are the different categories, and you can be like, I I want barbs, so you can see what kinds of barbs or danios or whatever are available. Or, oh wait, killies? Cool. Oh, those are mine. I thought someone else maybe had posted some killies. Or if you don't want to do any of that, you can go here and you can just see the latest products that have been listed, and there's several pages of them. Like, I don't know, lots of stuff. Or you can search things, so you can be like, I want to see the lowest price item. What is that? It's a plant. Or no, I want to see the highest price item. Or whatever. Or you can do a search here. So hopefully there's enough flexibility in the site to make it really, really easy to use. But yeah, the idea is that if you have fish for sale, you can go there, you can create a store. It doesn't mean you have to have a business license or anything. You can just sign up and put your items on it. And in aggregate, hopefully we get enough there that people start getting more sales than they would if they did it off in their little corner on their own. So that's what that is. Bob Kaler's Fish Hobby. Why isn't my cover photo showing up anymore? Oh, I don't know. That's a good question, Bob. I will get with my technical partner and ask him. Bob's cover photo is gone. I'll figure that out. Now, it could be that it'll be back up in a couple minutes. Jonathan, my business partner, might be loading an update or something right now that just hasn't cleared completely or something like that. But I'll ask him when we're done here. I'll find out, Bob. I have no idea. Yeah, the Pleco. Yeah, I remember it. It's a gorgeous picture. So, all right. Hey, Petsotics is here. How's it going? So, it's been a little over an hour. I really am tired. So, if you have a question or comment that you want to get responded to, post it now, because in a couple minutes, I'm going to start shutting this thing down. Mile High Plecos. Did the Plecos make it okay? Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. So, I told you all at the beginning of the live stream that I got my first Plecos during this trip, and I did. I got them from Mile High. They're L182s, is that right, Mile High? Or are they 183s, the Starlights? And they're doing great. So I put them in a tank that has the back wall covered with algae. There's a piece of driftwood that's been in that tank for over a year. And there's some plants and stuff in there, and they're the only fish in there. And they're surrounded by amphipod scuds, so they can chow on the algae. They can chow on the wood. They can chow on the amphipods, and I'll feed them up. So I think they'll be really happy in there. I chose not to put them in the big display tank. I thought about it, but A, I didn't know if I would ever see them. But B, the main thing is while they're small like this, I wanted to be able to control their feed. So I wanted to be able to kind of feed them more aggressively than I feed the fish in here, because I want to grow them up. And I know that when they're small, they're going to want more food. So, but they're doing great, Mile High. Thank you so much for them. By the way, Mile High's breeding group of those are stunning. Like jet black, like super black, chalkboard black. Well, before you get chalk on it. They're gorgeous. In fact, he's got amazing stuff. I'm not going to go over the list because I don't know if he wants everyone to know exactly what he has, but he has Plecos I've never seen before in person. And the ones that stood out to me the most were those Starry Nights or Starlights or Starbits or L182s. So I was really glad. Thank you so much. They're awesome. And again, I've kept lots of Plecos at stores and stuff I've worked at, but I've never had them in my own fish room. I've bred lots of Plecos, just not here. And so, yeah. Hopefully it doesn't turn into like Bob with rainbows, right? We'll see. We'll see. Priscilla, do you have an art section? No, on Get Gills, no, but Priscilla, there is a spot here, all others. So this is, oh, this stuff's kind of miscategorized. I'll have to talk to Yeah, so this should probably be under the live plants section. This should probably be under aquarium supplies, and this should probably be under live plants. But people put them where they put them. But anyway, this all others category, Priscilla, is supposed to be the place for that. So the view here is going to be changing soon. We're developing a new landing page, but before we do that, we're finishing building out the shipping to make it more flexible. That's our number one priority, and that's an amazingly complex bit of code to develop and create. But that's our priority. Once that's done, then there's a payment issue that we'll talk about, and then I think the next thing after that is a new landing page. Basically, what I hope can happen is right now there's like cichlids, right? And technically, here, let me show you this. No, I'll just tell you. So it's the group that says cichlids. But what I think would be really cool is if there's like, as soon as there's 5 or more Malawi cichlids listed there, then that breaks out and becomes its own category. Something like that. So we're trying to make the user interface, the landing page, a little more dynamic without being confusing. But anyway, yeah, I would go in that all others category, Priscilla. And please do post it there. For those that don't know, I'm pretty constantly finding items that other people have listed on Get Gills besides myself and promoting them out there. So I promote stuff to the different Facebook groups all the time, to the different social media outlets, to try to help people that list their Get sales. And we aren't running full steam yet, but we're doing pretty well. Momentum's building. There's new items, new stores on there all the time. More and more sales all the time, and so it's building. So in a little while, I think we'll have a pretty cool website there. Well, I think it's pretty cool now, but a force to be reckoned with pretty soon. 54 Punchy. There is a flower horn native in the native fish selection. Yeah. So people kind of put their fish where they will, and that should probably be in the cichlids. Yeah. I think the reason, though, is it a red Texas? So the Texas cichlid is a native fish. Oh, no, it's the Thai silk. So I don't know. It's probably because when the person created their store and first listed their items, they were new to the system and just didn't realize quite where it went. So I'm kind of constantly contacting people and saying, hey, I noticed this is here. Would you like to move it here? You know, things like that. So we'll get it fixed, but by and large, people put things where it should be. But I think occasionally someone's brand new and doesn't quite know how to work that. So, yeah. Tipatom, have you ever heard of someone using green water to cure ick? Ooh, no. I don't think green water cures ick. It could be that moving a fish into a green water aquarium might put it in an environment where it's more comfortable or has more food or something, and since it's less stressed, it can fight off the ick on its own or something. But I mean, green water can be magical for certain fish. I don't think the green water itself has any property that kills disease. I could be wrong. I mean, disclaimer, I am not a pathologist, like or an immunologist or like an ichthyologist or any of that stuff. But if someone put a fish that was covered in ick in green water and the fish later didn't have ick, my suspicions is because somehow that environment was just better for them, and so they were less stressed and their immune system did its job. I mean, fish have ick. If you're buying a fish that has ever been at a transshipper or a wholesaler or a pet store, it's got ick. I mean, it's just usually not manifest because the body's immune system is usually able to keep that under control. And by the way, ick isn't always ick. There are lots of pathogens that manifest as white spots on a fish. Ick is only one of those. So commonly, if you have white spots on your fish, it is ick, but often it's not truly ick. It's something else that's irritating the skin there, and you're getting the same kind of symptom. So the white spots is just a symptom. It's often not actually ick, though. I don't know why I got into that. Probably because I'm super tired. Anyway, let's see here. I think we're going to shut this down. It's been a while. I'm tired. And we've reached the bottom of the chat. So thanks, everybody. Anyone that participated in any way, whether you were just lurking and listening, that's great. Chatting, asking questions. To my mods, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you guys. Bob, for the super chat, thank you so much. It's always so helpful. Never required, but always appreciated. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm super excited about this shipment. Like I said, it literally took a year. That's not an exaggeration. It took a year to get those fish here. And so I'm thrilled they're here. Videos will be coming out all about them, the unboxing, and then species profiles. I'll do a around the world tour and show them off once they've settled in a bit. And then I'll do species profiles. There's going to be a lot of material generated from this shipment. So I'm excited to share them with you. Some of these species are awesome. And some of this stuff I've been wanting for decades and was able to finally get. So I'm very excited. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Have a great week. And I'll see you next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time right here. Good night.